Man, the Cannondale Scalpel, I shouldn't say I'm surprised it descends so well, because basically all these Scalpels are like the old Scalpel SE, only with slightly better geometry. It just descends so well. Like, you can't believe it. I'm always shocked for a bike that's, I mean, mine weighs 23 pounds and it absolutely destroys the climbs so fast uphill, and then it descends just like insanely fun. It's so good. I mean, this is like been my favorite bike to ride lately. Nice job, Rye. I mean, suspension, little RockShox 120 mil suspension, a little Sid Lux, you know, should not freaking run as good as this does. It's unbelievable. Even over like really harsh like braking bumps and stuff, the bike just stays so smooth. It's like magic. I don't know how Cannondale did it, but it's amazing. What's up, guys? I am so excited to share with you today my experience riding the 2025 Cannondale Scalpel. They made a lot of changes to this bike. Basically, all the Scalpels are now like the SE model, which kind of blurs the line between cross-country and a short travel trail bike, partially because those bikes are just more fun for everyone to ride, but also World Cup cross-country racers are racing on much rougher tracks than they used to ride on, so bikes are becoming, you know, even cross-country bikes are becoming more capable. So I just had to tell you, I've been riding the Yeti ASR, the Specialized Epic 8, the Ibis XC, the Pivot Mach 4, a ton of other trail, like cross-country bikes. Every once in a while, I find a bike that just I connect with so much. It used to be the Ibis Ripley. I just loved that bike. It was such a good short travel trail bike that could kind of do cross-country duty. That's how I feel about this new Scalpel. It's a cross-country bike that can do that kind of short travel trail duty work, and I love it. Got over 200 miles on this bike now. But as I was saying, the Cannondale Scalpel is now kind of updated for 2025, and they're all kind of like the SE model now. So a 66.5 degree head tube angle with a 120 millimeter fork, 120 mil travel out back with a 75.5 degree seat tube angle. So the seat tube angle on this Scalpel is almost a full 1.5 degrees steeper than the previous Scalpel SE, and almost a full degree slacker in the head tube angle. On a size medium, it has a 450 millimeter reach with a 60 millimeter stem. And you can click the link down below and go read all the numbers if you're not a medium, for example. You can go look what the large or the extra large is. I'm 5'8". I almost always ride a size medium bike, although some mediums today are starting to get a little bit too big for me. But this fits very good. The stem on this is kind of integrated into the headset here, and I don't know exactly how it all works. You'll have to talk to your local Cannondale dealer about that, but it's kind of like a proprietary stem. I'm not sure if you can put a different stem on there or not, and then the cables route right here through the stem. It's kind of a little different, a little interesting. I know that the Specialized Epic 8 that I was riding kind of did a similar thing. It doesn't bother me riding it at all. It makes the cables nice and tidy and nice and close to the bar. Today we're going to talk about how this bike climbs, how it descends, and who I think this bike is for. It's definitely for me. I love this bike. I've got, you know, 6 or 7 bikes at my house right now, and I ride 5 days a week, and I have a hard time passing this bike up ever. I just always want to grab it and take it for a ride. I picked this bike up from Salt Cycles in Sandy, Utah, and it started out, I think, as the Cannondale Scalpel 4. I think that's the model number. They have a 4 and they have a 2 in different models, but it's the $4,000 build, and it was 25.5 pounds when it started. I've done some upgrades to it. I upgraded it to from the XT derailleur and the Dior parts and SLX brakes, I think is what it originally came with. I upgraded it to all XTR stuff with some lighter carbon cranks. I upgraded the fork. Doesn't make a huge deal. It saves a little bit of weight. But And then I upgraded the wheels. The wheels was a big upgrade too. These are the Salt Cycles custom carbon wheels. You drop about a pound or maybe a little more than that by upgrading to those wheels. I love it. I put those on all my bikes. So this is sitting at 23 pounds. So a little bit lighter than the original $4,000 build, but whatever. You can buy whatever build Scalpel you want. And I'll kind of tell you how it rides today. But climbing, it just feels like it wants to go. The Scalpel in particular, even apart from the Epic and the Ibis XC, just feels a little softer over this flatter terrain. And the Yeti ASR does too. In fact, those are the two bikes that I kind of am most excited about right now, that Yeti ASR and this Scalpel. But even still, I feel the most comfortable, I would say, out of all the bikes on this Scalpel. This is a size medium. I'm 5'8". Pretty much always ride a medium bike. And it comes with this proprietary kind of longer, I think it's a 60 millimeter Cannondale type stem. Anyway, I love this rolling terrain on this Scalpel. It's just, we're on this little mini kind of 15-minute track that we're on right here that my son up here is trying to PR it today. So he's racing it as hard as he can. His best time is like 16 minutes and 56 seconds, but he thinks he can get closer to 16 minutes. But see, here's another little downhill section. And this, lots of rocks in this trail, and the bike feels comfortable. It just feels smooth, comfortable. I frickin' love this bike everywhere. It's insane. There is a little switch here. You can flip this and lock it out. I almost never do. Under heavy pedal input, full charging, it still feels very firm in the back. And this is a single pivot, kind of single pivot type suspension system that Cannondale's using with this flexi chainstay right here. There's this little piece right here. It's kind of rubberized. And this piece kind of acts like, you know, other Cannondale bikes are horse link bikes where there's a pivot right there. So they've got rid of the pivot for that flexi, you know, chainstay right there, and it kind of acts like a pivot point almost, and it's most noticeable on the downhill. And that's the special sauce of the Scalpel. So I guess, you know, if you don't want to watch this whole entire video, the special sauce of this bike and the reason why I love it, the reason why it's so good, is this descends, goes downhill better than almost any other bike in this category. It's unbelievable. For a 120 mil travel front and rear bike with this little RockShox suspension, it rockets up the climbs. I can't think of any of the other bikes that climbs better than this. Like, I don't know, maybe the Yeti ASR feels a little bit lighter weight underneath me, and I don't know, I just don't think it climbs any better than this. This climbs as good as any bike I've ridden. It's very efficient, very fast. Not only in terms of pedal efficiency, but it finds traction very well. I couldn't ask for anything more out of a bike for cross country or short travel trail bike purposes. It climbs very well. Descending is just where this steps away from some of the other bikes in this category. And you know, this and I would say the Pivot Mach 4 SL are the two that kind of stand out the most that have the best descending chops. I can just pin it on this bike. The rear end stays very active. Even under braking, it stays very active. And it doesn't tighten up and feel all harsh. It's amazing. It's just like so smooth. This is my 11-year-old son, by the way. He's turning into quite the ripper. Nice, buddy. Woo! Phew. I mean, pumping this bike has so much support in that rear shock. I mean, unless you absolutely need a bigger bike, I think you would be blown away at how capable this new Cannondale Scalpel is for a cross-country bike. Nice, buddy. Tons of support in the rear shock. Smooth over high speed chattery sections. Gotta slow down in the super chunky stuff. I mean, these are all kind of blue flow trails, but even still, I've taken this on a couple of black trails. It does great. Nice, buddy. Woo! That was sick. Anyway, I could not be more like pumped on a bike right now. You see it's kind of black in the front here and fades to gray. Put the Salt Cycles custom carbon wheels on, and dude, the thing freaking rails. It's bananas. So good. Nice riding, right?
Thanks.
You can just charge really hard on this bike. Not on the level of like the Pivot Trail 429 or Yeti SB120 or the brand new Ibis Ripley that just came out. That's a whole different category of charging. And then above that, you've got, you know, the Santa Cruz High Tower and the Yeti SB140. I'm not talking about those actual mid to long travel trail bikes, but for a cross country bike, I don't think you'll find a bike that descends like this one. And that's, you know, for me, that's what I love to do. I love to go downhill. And so I think about like who this bike is for. I just ordered one of these for my daughter who's on the high school race team, and she takes racing very serious. She wants to have the most efficient, fastest climbing bike that you can still descend on really well. And so I ordered one for her. After 200 miles in a month of riding this, I might be getting close to 300 miles now actually on this bike. I just can't recommend it enough. My daughter was previously riding the Ibis XC. I also rode the Ibis XC 2 seasons ago, and that bike just can't quite do what this does on the downhill. It's just, there's something special about the way Cannondale set up their suspension and that rear flexi chainstay that just makes this bike stand out from any other in the category. And like I was saying at the beginning of this video, every once in a while a bike comes along that just really wows me. And this is it. I mean, a 23-pound bike that can still go ride. I mean, I just would feel pretty comfortable taking this most places. And so if you're a guy who wants to, you know, do cross-country type riding, or you ride a ton of blue trails, but you still, you know, you don't want to be on something too harsh. I mean, I just am so excited about the cross-country category right now because all these bikes have become, they've just stepped up their game to become more trail-worthy bikes and have better trail manners when you're out riding at higher speeds. So cross-country bikes is just such a neat category now. You don't feel worn out and depleted every time you ride your bike, especially like me where I ride 5 days a week. It's nice to have something that rolls fast. This is also a good value. The price that you pay for this, like this bike started out at $4,000 and was 25.5 pounds. That's bananas. That's such a good value. I know that Chris at Salt Cycles, I think they still have the old Cannondale Scalpel SE in stock, and they're like crazy discounts right now. I want to say like 30 or 35% off. That bike doesn't feel that different than this one. This just has a slightly better geometry. You know, they got rid of the Scalpel SE from the previous generation Scalpel, and now basically all of them have geometry that's even more slacker than the Scalpel SE model, right? And so I love the direction Cannondale went with this. If you want to save a little bit of money and buy last year's model, I think Chris can still get those. If you want the latest and greatest, that's probably what I would do. I raced this bike 2 weeks ago in the midweek series, and I raced my heart out on this thing, and it just begs to be ridden super, super hard. I cannot recommend this bike enough. I absolutely love it. This will be my bike for the rest of this season. It looks amazing. The paint jobs and just the styling of the bike look awesome. It's lightweight. It's very fast. What more could you want out of a bike? Like I said, every once in a while you find a bike that just ticks all the boxes on your list, and I just don't think you'd be disappointed with this bike. You know, if you need more bike, then you need to go look at something like the Pivot Trail 429 or, you know, it's that higher category, obviously. But this is just such a neat bike for anyone who wants to do some cross-country stuff, but still enjoy riding high speeds downhill. I mean, I just really enjoy this bike. call the guys over at Salt Cycles, talk to Chris, ask him about custom building it. I think that's a great way to do it, and Salt Cycles is happy to do that. This bike started out as a $4,000 bike with pretty good parts. I upgraded a few things to make it a little bit lighter. Man, absolutely ask about the Salt Cycles Yum Yum wheels that I've got in here. You'll drop a pound right there alone, and it doesn't cost that much to upgrade. And so, oh, I also upgraded the dropper post. That's the other thing. This is like a 180 mil dropper, and I still have probably, I don't know, close to 2 inches I could insert this in, so you can run a really long dropper now on a cross-country bike, which is incredible. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, stick it in the section down below. I think the takeaway is it's very active on the downhill. It feels like it just handles all the braking bumps. Any terrain chatter it just disappears. It's really impressive what Cannondale has done back there. As far as like riding position, you know, very neutral, natural riding position. You feel very well balanced in the bike. It's just an easy bike to ride. 2 thumbs up. I really enjoy it. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Okay, this is kind of a jump line that's really sandy, but this, man, the bike jumps, it just does everything well. I literally, I've not been this excited about a bike, I don't think, since the 4th generation of the Ibis Ripley came out. In fact, I mean, this is like a better version of that Ibis Ripley from 4 years ago, or however long that was, 5 years ago maybe. I mean, this bike just is so, for a short travel bike, it is just so well-rounded. I mean, it kind of feels like a race bike, you know, some of the time, a little bit, but most of the time it just feels like a really fast, like, trail bike. Even though it weighs 23 pounds, it's insane. It defies all reason how good this bike is. And it's so easy to ride. I'm so comfortable on it, you know, which is just really nice. Yeah, I just love this bike. I rode it on Jacobs yesterday morning, and that's a black trail that's very high speed, and it's so good. It's just really, really good.